we were lucky that we didn't have people cancelling. And I've spoken to other people in the industry who have definitely been in that situation where people have cancelled or put off ordering until they knew more about it. But I think currently I would say there is definitely a slowdown in leads.
Yeah, we did have cancellations or postponements. Most people were of the opinion that they need to sit and wait and find out what the scheme was about. And obviously we couldn't sit there and say, it's about this, it's about that. But yeah, and on the positive side, some of the postponements were, well, if we're going to get money for this, as opposed to having the front of the house done, we'll get it all done. I think they've actually helped quell what has been some pretty outstanding demand. So it's probably, for us, I think it's going to help string it out a little bit longer, because currently our sales are probably running at, well, not probably, they're definitely running at double what I would expect them to be.
But I don't think we've seen too much of a slowdown because of it at all. If anything, and this is going to sound really odd, I was kind of hoping weirdly for a little bit of a cooling in the market, but we've not seen it yet in terms of new orders and the leads that we've tracked.
And I don't see this having any benefit to us at all. It will be a secondary measure if that windows and doors, even first generation windows and doors, are so efficient in comparison that the net gain of the changes just won't register.
You know, I'm a little bit like Ryan said, if you hear news and you say, okay, there may be a slowdown in the market, that would actually do us some good at the moment. we're completely over capacity. So, you know, we've gone from a standing start back on May the 4th up to 130% of budgeted volumes currently. And that's very difficult to deal with over such a short period of time. This hiatus that we've got at the moment is challenging, and I can see the whole of the supply chain starting to creak. We used to extrude circa 100 tonnes a day. We're now up to 130 tonnes, but because of our mixing plant won't allow us to mix that volume, so we're having to, at significant on cost, buy in dry blend to try and ramp up our production. So it is significant, the challenges and the volume that we're trying to put through. And, you know, interestingly, what I picked up on what you were saying, you're on a 13-week lead time. Our fabricators are still on a 3-day outbound from us. We still have visibility. We're on a 3-day lead time.
In the end, supply, demand will outstrip supply, and it will just force last prices up. It's as simple as that, and that's what they want. They will want to happen anyway.
I think the furlough scheme's been absolutely exceptional. I think that it saved many businesses. I think that the speed with which the payments came through surprised most people. I think that people were cynical, and when we were talking to people about payment during lockdown, although they were knowing that they could get the C-bills through and furlough payment, they were unsure as to when they would come through, and everybody's been pleasantly surprised with it. The furlough scheme's been excellent. They've extended it. I think that they've done an excellent job in supporting industry and business.
I think retail-wise, leads, inquiries, so at the front of the system, are still very, very strong. We don't see those orders for 4, 5, 6 weeks. That's going to take us into September. So it's going to remain very buoyant like it is now to at least September. Commercial, and Tom would back me up, or new build if you like, has certainly bounced back quicker than I thought it would. So in simple terms, I see these types of volumes continuing well up to Christmas. I don't see a break in it personally.
June and July, lead volume 68% up. I mean, it's huge. You just, we've not experienced that for a long time.
Well, it's these chats that feed into us, isn't it? So it's, we're talking to customers constantly now. This will continue up until Christmas. But I'm going to have the great task of putting a budget together October, November time. to present to group. And at the moment, you know, if you sit back and say, would I be going to group to say that next year is going to carry on in the same vein? I think I'd be foolish to say that. I mean, putting a budget together, I'll be coming and talking to you, Tom and Ryan,
yeah,
and asking you where we think we'll be.
I think the problem that we have is that would be lovely. I mean, you know, for Ryan and I to have that discussion about future volume, we can look at the order book for new build and, you know, say, oh, it's this big. The problem is that is reliant on those phases getting built. And at the moment they are building those phases and they're placing new orders.
Yeah.
But that break can be put on very quickly.
I think the big chunk of our target market, like you say, Luke, has not really been directly affected. They're bankrupt. They can't spend their money to go on holiday. They're all stuck at home. And I think we've benefited from that, which has contributed to this boom. And the likelihood is it will slow down in the early part of the next calendar year.
My only fear for the future is, if you look around Europe again, you're seeing spikes. You're seeing some huge spikes all around the world, and I really don't want us to have to go into a second lockdown. And I feel people may have backed off a little bit too much and a little bit too quickly.
It's an interesting point about a future lockdown. I think obviously before that happens, you're more likely to face local lockdown if there's a spike.
We have customers in Leicester. And so the dilemma was, what do you do? Do you deliver to the customers in Leicester? Yes, you do. With the right PPE and the right, you know, right guidance, then we carry on.
Lockdowns, won't there? But I don't see them shutting industry down like we did previously.
You know, this isn't going away. We've got to get on with life, and you've got to work around it as best you can, trying to keep people safe.
We've had to adapt. I think that you know, the one thing that we haven't touched on today is the sort of health and safety of our workforces, and I think that we've adapted very well with that. And I think that safe working practice in sort of the factories and, you know, out on site with installation, risk assessments have carried on, and that's really, really important. And I think that the industry has done extremely well there. I think we've coped. We're trying to cope with volume that's come through, which is at unprecedented levels. So yeah, I think we've done very, very well for the health and safety and well-being of our staff and workforces and of the general public. And I think that we're coping as best we can with the volumes that are being thrown at us at the moment from a standstill start in May.
Yeah, I mean, from my own perspective, I think we all shut down. I had extensive conversations with Tom and Mark and Claire, and I think from our perspective, or my perspective, we thought, look, we just got to get on with this. And I think a lot of the industry did. Let's adjust, let's try and find our feet, and then let's look for the opportunity to move things forward. And some things have gone in our favour in terms of people, you know, wanting to spend money on their homes, but we've put ourselves in a position to take advantage of that and recover and give ourselves an opportunity for a reasonable future.